An hour outside of Budapest and a final heave for one of Central Europe's political heavyweights. Prime Minister Viktor Orban spent Friday at his closing campaign rally, the incumbent calling on voters to give him a fourth consecutive term in office.
This is not the time for experimenting. Let's not try new things now. Let's rather rely on experience, predictability and our tried and tested representatives. We have one task left. Let's finish it off. Let's win over our opponents.
The war in neighbouring Ukraine has thrown this campaign into uncharted territory. Orban using the conflict to accuse his opponents of wanting to drag Hungary into the war.
The left thinks that Ukraine fights our war. This is what the leader of our opponents said, word by word, that Ukraine fights our war. This is a mistake. This is not our war. In this war, we cannot gain anything, but can lose everything.
That criticism is aimed squarely at this man, Peter Markizoy, the small-town mayor who's enjoyed a meteoric rise to top the opposition ticket. Going into Sunday, he told CGTN that Hungary needed change.
It's just not right that people like Orban and his family and friends, he got extremely rich and Hungary became the poorest country in Europe because only here lives 74% of Hungarians under the European poverty threshold. So we have to do justice. We have to send criminals to the prison and we have to send decent people to the parliament.
And on the claims that a Markizoy-led government would lead Hungary to war in Ukraine, a defiant rebuttal against Orban's own record with Russia.
Orban also said that he's against all kinds of sanctions against Russia, yet at the last minute, eventually and reluctantly, Orban agreed to all sanctions and voted for all sanctions in the European Council. So Orban says one thing today, lies about it today, and says and does the other tomorrow.
And this is the grand prize they're competing for, a majority on the floor of Hungary's 199-seat parliament. On one side, incumbent Viktor Orban, leading his conservative group made up of his own populist Fidesz party and his smaller Christian Democrat coalition partner. And on the other, Peter Markizoy, leading a Big Tent alliance of some 6 parties, all of very different persuasions, including Greens, the far right and Socialists. Their newfound unity a sign that they see teaming up as the only way to win. With a population of just under 10 million people on paper, Hungary should be a relatively small player in European politics. But in recent years, it has found itself punching politically above its weight within the EU, with several high-profile clashes with Brussels over everything from human rights, judicial independence, even media freedom. It means the results of this election matter to many people, not just here, but right across Europe. As polling booths prepare to open, parties on all sides are campaigning right down to the wire, hoping to secure support from what remains of the undecided voters in the country. But going into Sunday, latest polls indicate Fidesz does maintain a 5 to 6 point lead. But as the war rages just across the border and Europe and Russia jostle for influence in the region, Sunday's vote could prove decisive in the direction of travel of the continent overall. As the first results start to drip through after polls close Sunday night, many governments will be watching very closely, from Brussels to Beijing, Washington to Moscow, with the results likely to have ramifications right across the region. Trent Murray, CGTN, Budapest.